a comprehensive range of inpatient, outpatient, and emergency care services. (841) on KSJE. You're listening to the Scott Michlin Morning Program, and you're also watching us on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. 63 degrees outside our studios here at San Juan College. Winds are out of the east at 6 miles per hour, and our weather forecast is calling for a partly sunny day today, but still a chance of a shower or a thunderstorm in the forecast for the next several days, as a matter of fact. 87 for a high today, 83 tomorrow, and 84 on Sunday, and overnight lows in the lower 60s, as a matter of fact. My guests on the radio this morning from the San Juan United Way, they are all in the studio with us, including the new campaign chairman, Mr. Mike Stark. Again, good morning, Mike. Good to have you here. Thanks for taking on that responsibility, because there is a little bit of extra work involved with being the campaign chairman and kind of setting the pace for the fundraising campaign. So
yeah, you bet, and you would know best because you've served.
Well,
in
I did it
before.
Yeah, I did it a couple of years ago, probably more like 10. It's
very gratifying, and like I mentioned before,
yeah,
just a way to give back, because this is a great community, and we need to support each other and continue to make this a great place to work, live, and play.
Exactly. Very true. Also here in the studio with us is Jennifer Johnson. She's the Resource Development Director for the United Way. Jennifer, thank you for being here this morning.
Thank you, Scott. Good to be here.
You bet. And also Catherine Abeta is here, the Executive Director of San Juan United Way. Catherine.
Thank you, Scott.
Good to have all of you here this morning to talk about this year's campaign and how all of us, by joining together, can really help fund a lot of these crucial needs that our communities have. And as we've been talking about, we have economic challenges. We may have more economic challenges in the months and years to come. And many times when that happens to a community, it's these social services and these programs, food banks and homeless shelters and all these things that the United Way helps with, steps up to really help some of the folks who really need it. And that's what we're talking about this morning. So, Catherine, let me start back with you again a little bit about working in the community and that need, because, again, we are seeing great needs from the agencies that rely on United Way for funding, and in the campaigns it's a little more challenging to raise the level of funds that we're used to raising.
That's true, and to be quite frank, just up front, in the past few years, we've lost a significant amount of funding that we used to rely on due to companies leaving town, or there being layoffs, and those employees no longer being able to deduct from their paychecks.
Sure, or just not sure if they're going to have a job for the next 12 months to be able to commit to that payroll deduction, I suppose.
That's right. And we've also had some companies who have been very generous in their donations and agreed to match employee contributions, and so when companies leave, that sort of doubles the impact leaving the community. And just in the past few years, we've lost over $500,000 in local funding, and that's rough, because it doesn't affect us necessarily at United Way specifically, but it really affects is our community programs.
Right.
That money is directly impacting their budgets as we speak. The need didn't go away. As a matter of fact, it was sort of we see that inverse trend where the need has gone up as the funding has also left. So out in the community, we still see a lot of needs for some very basic services. We estimate there to be between 6,000 and 8,000 children in the community that live under the federal poverty line, and what those sorts of things tell us is that we know they are at higher risk of possibly not getting enough nutrition or not getting enough food every single day. We know that a lot of them have a hard time attending school due to transportation or lack of value or importance in the family, and those things set kids up for extra needs possibly later in life and extra challenges. And so we're really trying to work on addressing prevention issues beforehand. So when the children are young, because we do see, we see decreased high school graduation rates later on in life. We see higher unemployment rates, and we see a lot of consequences as we, let these problems exist. And so we're really looking to solve those problems in our community, and it starts at a young age, and it starts at making sure that basic needs are provided to children in the community so that they can be set up with a good foundation for lifelong success. And so what I am really encouraged about out in the community right now is that we are seeing benefits. We are seeing that outcomes for children are increasing. It is slow because investment takes time. We are choosing deliberately to invest and work on prevention, and we're focusing less on being reactive and getting high numbers. That's often this nonprofit paradigm where you're chasing funding to stay up, but you're not solving the problems because you're chasing funding that has a specific outcome around it. And so what we're really, really trying to do is invest in those root causes, and we're seeing that. We're starting to see improvements for those for children and just in those outcomes. And so even though it's maybe not showing itself in huge ways to everyone walking around, we know that it's working, and we're just excited that our community still believes that and is still getting involved.
And that's great. But it is somewhat of a tough sell sometimes for folks who want to see maybe immediate results, or if I'm funding a homeless shelter, I can see that there's a person who's now been able to go to that shelter that maybe wasn't able to go there before. And some of this preventative stuff is a little bit harder for folks maybe to see the good it does to the community in the longer term. Yes, absolutely. And we still value and want to help keep the shelters up. We still send funding to actually most of our area shelters because there are needs that need to be taken care of today. Today, right now. There are victims of domestic violence and their children who need safety right now. And so we're working to make sure that that's still there. But we don't stop there. In addition to that, we're making sure that that victim and her children are connected with the other funded programs to help in that next stage. Maybe it's gaining custody of the children. Maybe it's making sure that they are still getting to go to their same school, or maybe they need supplies. Whatever it is that's helping them as a whole, that's what we're really focusing on, rather than just that night of safety and shelter. We want to break that cycle of violence, and we want to set those kids up for future success. Right, which is very important. Jennifer Johnson, let me turn back to you a little bit about your involvement with the campaign, of course, and this whole idea of talking to potential donors about funding these preventative programs, ideas, and things like that. Is that a tougher sell than getting them to give money for bricks and mortar shelters and beds and things like that?
It can be. It's really, I would say it's a pretty easy 50-50 split, because there are people who, for one reason or another, may have a loyalty to a program that they have used themselves in the past, or that has been around and they've heard of other people getting to use that program, and so they just always want to continue to support that and make sure that it's there for the future generations. But getting to the preventative is definitely a hot topic, because people are starting to understand that, just like a third grade reading level is a good indicator for high school graduation, you really do have to start getting in there earlier and earlier. And I think that it's starting to become an easier and easier sell. But we still have, like I said, those loyal contributors who keep the standbys open, which is a gift for sure. Right, very true. Mike Stark, as campaign chairman, again, getting the message out about these preventative programs, but also these programs that are helping to help folks in the here and now and the immediacy of life.
You bet. I think it's important for everyone to grab hold of the concept, and certainly I think it'd be my primary message this year is that everyone gets involved. Similar to economic development, where we're seeing challenges, we're starting to see the community rally around and understand that everyone has a responsibility in economic development. And I hope everyone would see that everyone has a responsibility too in helping fund these social services in our community. And you hear of the myths, and we've dispelled those today, And I think it's important, once again, to reiterate that 100% of your donation ends up helping the funding agencies. And you can direct those dollars where you want. Certainly the partner agencies, but if you have another charity here within San Juan County, you can designate dollars to that as well and keep those dollars here.
Right, like a public radio station.
That's exactly right.
So I'm just throwing it out there, everybody. But
another avenue.
We wouldn't be doing our jobs if we didn't try to give our pitches.
That's right.
If you'd like to get involved with the workplace campaign, please give me a call at San Juan United Way.
That's right. Exactly. That's very, very true.
And the other thing you hear is that, well, my contribution won't make a difference. All I can give is $1 a paycheck. Well, that $1 a paycheck adds up when you're talking, at the county, for example, we have 650 employees.
Right.
So if we had everybody giving $1, look at the magnitude of what that will raise. And more importantly, and I know Catherine and Jennifer can speak to this, what's the magnitude of what $1 a paycheck ends up turning into with some of our agencies?
It is one of my favorite things to talk about because it's so true that people really don't think that their dollar does very much. We work very close with the programs to get this information. Just one example, since you are from Northwest New Mexico Seniors in the past, one of the programs that we work with them is Meals on Wheels, and that goes out to 300 homebound elderly seniors in the county. Our United Way funding that goes to that program, many don't realize, helps to pay for the portable plates. So we pay for the plates that the food is then wrapped in.
Mm-hmm.
That is a small thing. It seems so small, but they wouldn't be able to execute that program, and they wouldn't be able to be giving those home-delivered meals to those 300 seniors who need it if they didn't have the funding for that. Their current funding structure doesn't allow for other funding to cover that. And each one, I think, costs 80 cents. So every dollar adds up and enables somebody in our community to have a meal, to have a hot meal home delivered. That's just one example, and we've got dozens. Maybe Jen has one she'd like to share.
Jennifer?
Absolutely. One that I can't say enough about is the backpack program that Catherine started to allude to. Echo Food Bank has a backpack program where they will fill backpacks with food for children who go home with maybe some food insecurity of whether they're going to have dinner or food over the weekend. They actually look forward to going to school because of the lunch and maybe even breakfast that they get there. But the backpack's full of food. I don't know if you can try to do the math in your head on how much it would cost you to fill it even with cans of soup and beans and mac and cheese and snack packs. But it's a good amount, and Echo manages to do it for approximately $2.60 a backpack. So if you're giving that $2 or $3 from your paycheck, you're actually kind of sponsoring a child who's going chronically hungry.
Amazing.
And
Yeah.
last year, there were over 5,000 of those backpacks that went out to school children all across the county. And that's a partnership with Echo Food Bank and the public schools so that the students are identified by counselors and teachers in a discreet way so that they can get food sent home. And it's pretty incredible how fast you can get involved and how far your dollar goes.
And such a great program because, again, in many of these families, that may be the only food that those kids get that weekend, or their siblings too,
right?
Perhaps if they have to share it. So, and that again, and Mike Stark, I know you know all about this of how the county and agencies in the county, because I think the county government works with the city governments and other entities really well together, and the United Way member agencies seem to work really well together with the Echo Food Bank providing food maybe for the soup kitchen or for the other programs and things like that to keep costs low. We see that time and time again, working together for the betterment of our community.
We do, and we need to work together because, it goes back to self-sufficiency, self-reliance. We've got to take care of ourselves up here. We can't assume that we can rely on dollars from the federal or the state level. We're relative to the rest of the state, we're a pretty small piece of the action, and so population-wise, you're going to see the Middle Rio Grande corridor receive the majority of the dollars, and so that's why it's important to work together, and all the government agencies do that for the betterment of all the citizens up here. And the Echo Food Drive we started at the county, we had an employee that came to me about 10 years ago and said, I'd really like to start a food drive here at the county. And it's blossomed into an annual event that we do right before Thanksgiving, that we challenge the other cities in the area to
Right.
see who can win the coveted Mr. Potato Head trophy.
I'm sure it's coveted.
It is very much coveted.
Very coveted. Yes, sir.
When we've retained that trophy in the past, it sits in our trophy case out front. So
Right.
it is very important
Okay.
to the county employees. But yeah, that's
It's
just
how it's
one
grown,
example
sure.
of how it's grown and how any organization can create a great way to give back. And that's, like I said, want to see folks get involved, want to see folks understand there's a great need, and small contributions can make a huge difference.
That's very true. Well, we just have a few minutes remaining this morning, everyone, and so I want to go back around and ask each of you how folks can get involved. If their employer doesn't offer payroll deduction, perhaps, or maybe they could if enough employees asked about it, what can folks be talking about in the workplace and maybe with their friends and neighbors about San Juan United Way? Catherine Abeda?
Getting involved in a workplace campaign is so easy. It's so easy and there's no catch. Just give us a call. If you don't currently have a workplace campaign going on at your place of employment, but you'd like one, it's very easy for us to set up. It doesn't cost anything. There is no catch. There's no fine print. We just come in and we make it really, really easy for employees to give back. Everything is completely voluntary. And then in addition to that, or separately, we also will provide volunteer opportunities for the community through workplace giving. Jen can talk a little bit about that. She runs a pretty awesome volunteer program at United Way.
Very good. Jennifer Johnson?
Absolutely. We have just seen such a demand for volunteer opportunities because our community is so generous and wants to get involved that, like I said, we've opened up our Day of Caring to now be kind of a season of giving, so it should never go out of style. We'll continue to have programs submit projects to us, everything from a little bit of landscaping, power washing, organizing files, helping them with their Facebook page. There's a little something for everyone usually, and then they're going to give us needs lists if you want to help provide diapers for the children's shelter or those sorts of little things. You can run a drive in your community. Food is always needed, but there are other things that sometimes we don't think of that are in need as well.
All right, very good. And Mike Stark, final word, I guess, goes to you, Mr. Campaign Chair.
All right. Well, just excited to serve in this role and encouraging everyone to participate in this year's campaign. Should be a great year. All
right. Very good. And the phone number for the San Juan United Way, Catherine Abeda?
326-1195. You can also find us on Facebook or our website, sjunitedway.org.
There you go. All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming in.
Thanks, Scott.
Great conversation this morning. Thank you all
thanks,
very much.
Scott.
You bet. My guest from the San Juan United Way here on KSJE. I'm Scott Michlin. Have a great Friday, everybody. Back with you Monday morning, beginning at 8 a.m.